Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to another movie review. And for this one, reviewing another classic, probably would say a classic masterpiece, I would say. And now this one, it's another old disaster film, and this one is extremely close, just by a fraction. It would be one of my, because my favorite disaster film is the Poseidon Adventure, but this one is so close to being exactly even with it. But regardless of that, I love this movie, and I still think it's a classic, a hell of a classic with a great cast, and definitely one of the biggest films of its time. And that is the classic disaster film that I absolutely do love, The Towering Inferno. Yes, The Towering Inferno, the classic 1974 disaster film with an all-star cast starring Steve McQueen, Paul Newman, William Holden, Faye Dunaway, Fred Astaire, Susan Blakely, Richard Chamberlain, Jennifer Jones, and yes, even O.J. Simpson, Robert Vaughn, and Robert Wagner. All-star cast. On the back here by Daily Variety, one of the greatest disaster pictures ever made. I so agree with that. And it's definitely a disaster film of its time, because nowadays, like, the disaster films are not quite as good anymore, though. But this one, definitely one of the best. And what I have here is the special 2-disc edition, and in it slides out. I have here is the 2-disc. And speaking of which, I do believe I remember I also have the poster for this. I have the poster for this film. I do believe I do have it. And so it comes with this, and it comes with this little booklet here. You know, with the cast and the pictures and the story, the production. And we talked with Irwin Allen, you know, the master of disaster, Irwin Allen, will produce the film. Yeah, let's quickly show here. Starting with Steve McQueen, Paul Newman, and all the other cast members, including some pictures of the film from the film. Yeah, so it comes with this cool looking little booklet right here, and 2-disc, which it comes with some photo cards here, like shows with picture of there's Steve McQueen as the fire chief. So yeah, more of the cards right here. Yeah. So it's cool. It's cool to have. And the 2-disc right here. Put these back in. And for the features, it has a lot of features. Like let me put this back in here. Trying to ruin the booklet. There you go. So for the features on disc 1, has an all-new commentary with film historian FX Finney. All new scenes specific commentary by Mike Beznia. Special effects director on X-Men 3 and Branko Araki, stunt coordinator on the day after tomorrow. Then disc 2 has a lot more features. Has 9 all new featurettes. Inside of the Tower, we remember. Innovating. tower, the special effects on Inferno, the art of the towering. Irwin, the great producer, directing the Inferno, putting out fire, running on fire. Still in the world's tallest building, Heart of Disaster, Sterling, Siliphant. Over 30 extended deleted scenes, AMC backstory, The Towering Inferno, storyboard to film comparisons, NATO presentation reel. 3 interactive articles from American cinematographer, original making of featurettes, back in the day. 1977 Irwin Allen interview, still full galleries, shot compositions, policy behind the scenes, conceptual sketches, costumes, the original teaser and trailer and more. So it has a lot of features on this. And for the film, it's directed by John Guillermin, the guy who go on later, 2 years later, go on to direct 1976 the King Kong remake with Jeff Bridges and Charles Grodin. And of course, the last one he did was the sequel, which was not needed and looked horrible anyway, called King Kong Lives. But easily this guy's best film. Although I've seen 1976 King Kong though, but this one is definitely his best film, and I don't recall. Well, I'm sure he's done other films in the past though, but this one I easily grew up with, and definitely say the guy's best film. And what can I say about The Towering Inferno? It's a classic, old school disaster film. It's about the world's tallest building in San Francisco, and one tiny spark in a storeroom starts the whole blaze, basically. Paul Newman as Doug Roberts, the architect, flies into San Francisco with his girlfriend, Susan, played by Faye Dunaway. And then it shows the spark, that starts the whole fire. One thing that they notice that there's a first he introduced more characters. You got Fred Astaire, who is the con man. Which he has come there to meet with Jennifer Jones, the widow. To sell her a bunch of fake shares. His villa in France, Paris. O.J. Simpson, and I'm sure I know everyone knows about O.J. Simpson. I know, but back then, he's the security guard. Doug gets a call in the utility room that there's a wiring problem. He goes and talks with William Holden, who's the builder. And he's like being the stuck-up guy because he thinks nothing there should be no problems, nothing should never be wrong, not in this building, never. And he wants to go and talk to his son-in-law, Richard Chamberlain, and he goes over to his house where he meets with William Holden's, which is the character's name is Duncan, his daughter, played by Susan Blakely. And then Richard Chamberlain arrives as Roger, because he does all the electrical stuff in the building, and he gets mad, and Paul Newman gets mad at him for that. And then when it comes to the dedication ceremony, you have the senator played by Robert Vaughn. What else? What was the guy who plays Jack Collins as the mayor? They show up, and everyone's going for the you have where that people go up in this tall building. You have the scenic elevator, and they meet all in the promenade room with this music playing. I think that song, "We May Never Love Like This Again." I think that song was nominated for. It was nominated and it won for Best Original Song. That's for that song "We May Never Love Like This Again." That song won an Oscar for the film, And the film also was nominated for a lot of Oscars. Just really quick off, it was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, Fred Astaire, Best Production Design, Best Original Song, which it won. Best Original Score by John Williams. You know, John Williams, who did most of the scores for Steven Spielberg films. Which, by the way, he did a fantastic job on the score. Love the score by John Williams. It was nominated for Best Film Editing, which it won. Best Sound Mixing, Best Cinematography, which it won, and then Best Picture. So I have So it was nominated for 8 Oscars and it won 3. And then it was also nominated for 5 Golden Globe Awards and it won 2. It won for New Star of the Year actress Susan where is it? Susan Flannery as the character Lori. And Fred Astaire won for the Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actor. And the film got a lot of praise when it came out, though. Although on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb, I completely disagree with. I think it deserves a lot more higher. It has a 6.8 on IMDb, and it's a way too low for this film. I think it deserves a higher number on that than the 6.8. And has a 71%, which it is good enough though on Rotten Tomatoes, but I give it a lot more higher, like a 97%. So yeah, that's how much I love this movie. I would give it much more higher ratings. But as the story's going on, everything's going to the party in the promenade room. Everything's going fine. You know, Fred Astaire talking with Jennifer Jones about his villa, because he's going to con her. And everyone's at the party except for Paul Newman with this other guy named Will. He's still checking up on the system, and then O.J. Simpson goes down there because on the security camera there's smoke coming around the door on the 81st floor. And as Paul Newman and the other guy Will gets there, Will notices a security guard open the door to the storage room. He says, "Hey!" And as the guy opens the door, fire starts blasting out, and that guy gets burned. And Paul Newman is like, get those drapes, smother it, try to smother it, put it all around him, pull it all over him. And the guy got badly burned. So O.J. Simpson gets there, and Doug, Paul Newman, calls for an ambulance. Then he tries to call Duncan, William Holden, to get everyone down to the ground floor. It's yeah, Doug, we were getting worried about you. Susan's here, Senator Parker, the mayor and his wife. Everyone wants to know why the world's greatest architect isn't here. Never mind about that. Will Gaines has been pretty badly burned. Will Gaines burned? How? Listen, I already got an ambulance coming. I think you should get those people up there down on the ground floor. What for? We got a fire here! Well, I think it's under control. Well then, why the urgency? Urgency? Hey Doug, if that thing was caused by fluky wiring in this building, we get fires breaking out everywhere! Doug, I think you may be overreacting. Now, I feel sorry for Will Gaines, but it'll be taken care of. But I am not going to concern myself, because there's no way a fire in a storage room on 81 can't possibly affect us up here. Not in this building. Now have someone call me when the fire department arrives. In the meantime, get in your dinner jacket and come up and join the party. Now, come on. Why I just read that? Because I watched this film so many times. It's probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie. That phone conversation. I don't know why, but I like that scene there. So the fire department arrives, and you introduce Steve McQueen as the fire chief. And look at what I say. You know, I know Steve McQueen has starred in a lot of classic movies, but growing up with this movie, I have to say it is my favorite Steve McQueen film. I love the actor. May he rest in peace. He starred in a lot of great classic films, and not that long ago in review, I got a box set of some of his films, including the classic Bullet. But Steve McQueen, I love him as an actor. May he rest in peace. But I have to say, it's my favorite. It's my favorite role of Steve McQueen. I enjoy his character as the fire chief. His performance, top notch. Everyone in the cast did a good job, but especially for the main three, Steve McQueen, Paul Newman, William Holden. So Steve McQueen gets there, and Doug, Paul Newman briefs him on what's going on. As they get in the elevator, and he's like, architects. Yeah, it's all our fault. Now there's no story we should be able to fight fire on no higher than the 7th floor. But you guys just keep on building them as high as you can. Hey, are you here to take me on or the fire? Just great back and forth with Steve McQueen and Paul Newman. So, and as they get there, there's another good conversation with when O.J. Simpson is talking with Steve McQueen. Because Steve McQueen wants to know about any business tenants is living on the 81st floor, and he's like, I want to know who they are, not where they are. And O.J. Simpson's like, no, what is that? What is that got to do with anything? Who they are? Do you have any wool or silk manufacturers? Because you see, in a fire, wool and silk give off cyanide gas. Do you have any sporting good manufacturers like table tennis balls? They give off toxic gas. Now, do you want me to keep on going down the line? No. One list of tenants coming right up. It goes to shows that Steve McQueen is a fire chief. He's a very serious fire chief. He takes every little precaution very seriously. It's like right there, and so he's about to go up and he's talking with Paul Newman. He's like, for what it's worth, architect, this is one building that I figure wouldn't burn. Paul Newman, neither did I. And he tells him about the party upstairs, and because Doug is not listening to him, so he decides to go and talk to him up there. So he gets up to the party room, and he's talking with William Holden. Tells him that he has to move all the people out of there. Once again, Duncan's not exactly listening. It's like, well, I hope you don't know about the many modern safety systems we got up in this building. We've got it all. And it shows that Steve McQueen, he's like totally cool, but yet he talks very calmly, but yet he's very dead serious at the same time. Shows how he's taking this very seriously. He's like, okay, it's your building, but it's our fire, and let's move people out. Wait a minute. There's no way. I hope you're not listening to me, Chief. There's no couldn't have affect us here. Not in this building. Okay, I'll make the announcement. Wait a minute. The mayor's out there. Do you want me to pull rank on you? If there's a fire, I'll outrank anyone here. I just always that Steve McQueen. I would say he's a badass as the fire chief. He's taking this very seriously. He knows that his safety is the biggest thing, but. William Holden was not exactly listening to him, but he tells him to, just make a cool announcement and try not to cause a panic. So William Holden does tells everyone there's a small fire, but he says, there's no reason to rush, but people are starting to panic, everyone starts to rush the elevators, and Jennifer Jones gets in the elevator, but you see she gets off on another floor to get, which I will get into. And then there's an explosion on the 81st floor, and then some ceiling falls, a couple of firemen, and then Steve McQueen tells Paul Newman, it's like, make sure to tell Duncan to stop people from taking that express elevator, or somebody's going to get killed. So they're going to take people to the scenic elevator. But as he's trying to tell the people not to use his elevator, as the door opens, more people start piling in because, panic. And then Steve McQueen, he takes the reins of the fire hose, and then the elevator doors open, people are screaming, the fire starts bursting in the elevator, and Steve McQueen tries to put the fire out where the fire is going in the elevator, but it's too late already. And as the elevator goes back up, a guy runs out, he's on fire, and he falls down, drops dead. And while it's going, it cuts to Robert Wagner. He's the publicity man. It shows that he was secretly making out with this I guess you say his secretary, and they're been talking about like no one will ever know about us because the reason why they said because the thing that Robert Wagner's character, I think he was a married man. He was having a secret affair. That's what I'm trying to get at, a secret affair, and I think that Robert Wagner's character was a married man. So I think that's why that's what they're saying. No one will ever know about us. And the fire is there, and they're the only ones there, and he disconnected the phones because he didn't want no more phone calls, so no one knows they're there. So as the fire is getting close to them, he decides to make a run for it. And he says, "I'll be back with the whole fire department." And he tries to run out, and he runs into this chair, and he's set on fire, and he tries to make his way as far as he could, but he can't. He doesn't make it, so drops he drops this glass balcony and falls to his death. And his woman, she has no other choice. She breaks one of the windows with a chair, and the fire blazes in, and she jumps off. She jumps out of the window, and it's a very long height. So you can see she drops all the way down to her death outside, because it's on one of the very high levels, and she just commits suicide and just jumps off the building. In the back with Jennifer Jones, because reason why she got in the elevator because there were two kids, and their mother is deaf, and the two, so she doesn't know what's going on because she's deaf, and the two kids are there. And Paul Newman and O.J. Simpson, they get there, and O.J. Simpson gets the mother out of there, and so as Paul Newman gets the two kids, the little girl Angela, and the older son Philip, which is actually the kid who plays Philip. That's Mike Lookinland. Pronounce his last name. He plays the youngest of the brother the Brady Bunch. He was Bobby Brady. So yeah, he was the younger brother on the Brady Bunch. Yeah, so he's in this film as one of the kids. So I was like, oh, okay, one of the kids from the Brady Bunch in this disaster film. Okay, that's nice, that's cool. And for those, yeah, I never watched that much of Brady Bunch though, but I do know I know about the kids and all that. So it was easy to spot because my mother grew up watching the Brady Bunch, so she know that before I did. So and then she told me. So yeah, but I watched a few of the Brady Bunch. I know it's a classic show, but I'd never watched too much of it, So, but I do know the Brady Bunch is a classic show with the famous thing. Here's a story, a guy named Brady, who has 3 boys of his own. That's why they call him the Brady Bunch. So yeah. Paul Newman gets the kids, along with Jennifer Jones. They're trying to get out of there. And as with them going on, they get to a staircase, and Paul Newman notices there's ruptured gas line. It blows, the stairway blows, and Paul Newman is like, the whole thing is destroyed, but he can climb back down. There's a way where they can climb down to it. So Philip, he climbs down first, and then Paul Newman climbs back up to get the girl. And then Jennifer Jones, she climbs back down herself, and as they make their way, they know the choice but go back up to the promenade room. As they get to the staircase, there's a wheelbarrow with cement that's been dried up and it's blocking the door. And while that's going on, Paul Newman is just sorry. Steve McQueen cuts with him back with the fire truck, trying to get out the fires, and the fires are spreading all the way to the upper levels. And there's one where they're exchanging the air tanks, and it's like, why do they make these things so goddamn heavy? I wish they would have made us a suit that liar suit though they did for football players. Steve McQueen, I just love Steve McQueen in this film. I just really do, and Paul Newman. I would probably even say this is my favorite film with Paul Newman as well, because I grew up with this film. I saw this film a whole bunch of times as a kid, and Paul Newman, Steve McQueen, love them in this film. And back there were two firemen that volunteered to get that block out, that door that's been blocked with cement. As they were working their way up, the staircase blows. But they finally managed to get back in there. While Paul Newman, he tries to go another way around back into the room, and then it shows that the Navy air rescuers arrived, and then the two firemen, they use some C4, plastic C4 to blow the door. And Richard Chamberlain. There's one thing I forgot with Richard Chamberlain and what William Holden was talking to. Is when we first heard where there was a fire, and William Holden wants to talk to him. He was like, did you change any of Doug's electrical specifications? I most certainly did. For God's sakes, why? Well, the answer should be obvious, especially to you. And William Holden goes, well, we got a fire, and it's the cost by anything you did. I'm gonna hang you out to dry, and then I'm gonna hang you. And the reason why Richard Chamberlain did it because he tried to save money off the budge, and he cut corners basically, and that's how it started the whole fire. So the whole thing was his fault because he cut corners. Tried to save money though, but that didn't work. So yeah, but back with Richard Chamberlain, he tries to foolishly try to get down the staircase alone, but he gets caught in another explosion, so he tries to go back in there, and he's also being kind of an ass to his wife as well, which his wife is also, like I said before, is William Duncan, his daughter. So, and then Paul Newman gets a call that the guy who got burned from the start, he died, and he talks with William Holden. It's like talks about why don't we just you want to cut costs, why don't you just cut floors instead? And William Holden tells him, as a builder, it's his responsibility, and he makes those decisions. And then Paul Newman says, "What do you call those that kill people? What do you call those who kill people?" So, so they got some choppers out there. They have devised a plan to people draw numbers. So and the numbers for, but really the first 10 people, they try to go on the roof, try to do a rescue attempt from the choppers, but since there's too much wind, a chopper tries to land there, but there's too much wind and the chopper explodes. So they had to try another way. So Paul Newman, he cuts the wires to the scenic elevator so it can only just go back down and never come back up. So they have the first 10 people were in there, and a fireman and the 2 kids, and Jennifer Jones gets in there. Before that, Jennifer Jones talking with Fred Astaire, that knows that she knows that he was a con man. He knows that he has no villas, and Fred Astaire, he was gonna make a confession, so he's like, I'm a 2-bit con man. I brought you up to sell you 1,000 shares, and and it shows that he really liked her, and as everyone goes back in that goes in that scenic elevator, that Faye Dunaway didn't really want to go because she doesn't want to be down there worrying about him and him worrying about her, but she goes anyway. And as as the other scenic elevator goes down, they have another plan, tries to get people off using a breacher's buoy. But it carries people from one building to another part of the building, one at a time. So all the women, they make all the women go off first. And Susan Blakely, Duncan's daughter, she gets off safely. And while it's going on, as the scenic elevator is going down, there's an explosion. And that's when Jennifer Jones, she falls out and falls to her death. And I was like, oh wow, that sucks because Fred Astaire really liked her, and which I'll get into at the end. So she falls all the way down, and Steve McQueen he has to he's gonna go himself tries to because it's only holding on by a cable, so he's gonna cut the cable and have the chopper haul them all the way slowly down. So he gets there, and the fireman that's in there with them climbs on the roof of it, and Steve McQueen as he cuts the cable, there's an explosion. The fireman he almost falls off, but Steve McQueen's holding on to him for dear life, trying not to let him fall too. And good suspense. I thought it was a really good suspenseful scene because as the chopper's hole is now carrying the elevator and so a long way down, Steve McQueen's trying to hold on to that fireman for dear life, tries not to let him fall to his death either. He's holding on the best he can until it gets low enough where the guy jumps and they have like a safety. It's not like a safety net, but it's like one of those bouncy things. I forget what they're called though, but it's like a bouncy safety net, as I'll call it. So he lands safe, and everyone else is safe. So, and all of the action scenes, and the effects in this film, very well done, very well filmed, edited, done with actual fires, no CG. I don't think they never did CG back in the day, but yeah, all with actual fires, and it's very well edited, well shot. Special effects in this film are amazing, especially with dealing with all fires, actual explosions. If this film was remade today, which right off the bat it doesn't need to be remade, but I was saying if it does, everything will be totally CGI, totally like green screen, CG fires, everything. This film does not. I would say this is a film I would do not say want to be remade because everything will be totally CG. Everything, the fires, explosions. This film has well done actual fire, practical effects, explosions. It's very well done. Now, do not need to see that redone, remade. And plus, like I said, this is it was during the 70s and the start of the 80s when the disaster genre was dying out because especially when it was getting towards the late 70s, the disaster films were dying out and. So, but not until like some of the came like the 90s and the 2000s where they started regenerating the disaster film genre. But anyway, and and Richard Chamberlain once again being the ass that he is, he says he says the women are gone, we are going next, and William Holden punches him and he's like, y'all got numbers, and you're going to take your turn. You're going to take your turn. And if it's any consolation, I'm going to be the last one out of here, along with my son-in-law. And Steve McQueen calls Paul Newman and tells that the fire is out of control, and they have one last plan. Is to blow the water tanks that's 2 floors above them, which is like over 1 million gallons of water, and that will be enough to extinguish the fire. So. And he's the only one that's qualified to set the explosions to do that, Steve McQueen. And Paul Newman wants to go up there with him. And as they notice the fire popping up, Richard Chamberlain and a few other guys, they panic. They try to use the get off on the breacher's buoy. Robert Vaughn, as a senator, he tries to hold him back, saying, "Oh, get out of there!" And as the buoy starts going off, he's like, "No, ah!" So Robert Vaughn falls to his death, and so a few other people, and so does Richard Chamberlain. The breacher's buoy is lost because of the explosion, so all those men, including Richard Chamberlain and Robert Vaughn, they all fall to their deaths. I just always want to imagine if someone falls from that high from the building, as they fall all the way down to the ground, just wham, splat. I always imagine, if someone falls from that height from the building, which is like nearly to the top of the building, just falling all the way down to that hard concrete, just wham, splats, just. But so Steve McQueen puts on this kind of like a fireproof suit, and Paul Newman goes up there to the storage, water storage, tells them where to set the explosives and set the timer for 5 minutes. So as they get back down there, he tells everyone to tie themselves in the room. They tie themselves down, so because there's gonna be so much water and stuff, you have to tie yourself down. So as they get there, and they're just waiting there until the timer goes off. And I like the scene I like the scene where as the camera is panning on each person, waiting for it to go off, and you have John Williams' a wonderful score, and dun 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 dun. That part of the music I enjoy from John Williams. That part of the music is there before the explosion goes off. So the explosion goes off. The water tank starts spew the water, and a few people get killed, including this guy who was one of the bartenders. Like there's a statue there's a statue on top of the bar. It falls off, breaks apart, and lands right on the guy right here. Boom. Kills him. And the mayor, where is it? Well, it shows the mayor that it looked like there was like this part thing that kind of looked a little bit off though. I don't know if it looked like he fell. How the way it was looked, it looked like he fell. It looked like he fall out one of the windows to the building. I don't know how this little shot happened though, but he fell off something, and you never see him again. So I assume he fell and he died to his death though. But it didn't look like he fell out from one of the windows. It felt like there's one little thing, I guess, like in a hole in the ground. I don't know how to describe it though. If you watch that scene though, where the mayor falls, it doesn't look like he fell out of one of the windows. It looks like he fell like in a hole in the floor. But and because William Holden goes to his nose like Bob, oh God, yeah. So, but beside that, that's not a nitpick. I'm just pointing it out though because it look kind of weird still. But that's not a nitpick. I'm just pointing it out. And so the fire gets extinguished, and all the survivors are there. Paul Newman, Steve McQueen, Fred Astaire, William Holden. Although it showed that there was that one firefighter that was with them though, but it shows that he was getting washed away by the water. I don't know if that fireman survived though, because after that part you never saw him again. That's another thing. That's another thing though. That fireman though, maybe he survived though, but after that instance where the water was like washing him away almost though, but I don't know if he's alive or he's dead. I don't know that part though, because you never saw that fireman again. So, but back on the ground floor, Fred Astaire talks to that one fireman that Steve McQueen saved from the elevator. He's asking, "Where's Jennifer Jones?" Or her name was Lisa Lett, or Miss Mueller. And the guy tells him that she's dead, and he gets heartbroken. He's like, "Lisa, Lisa!" And then O.J. Simpson pops up to give her his cat. That was Jennifer Jones' cat. He gives her cat to him. Because O.J. Simpson, he was going through the rooms. Yo, security guard, anyone here? And he finds Jennifer Jones' cat there, and he saves that cat. And you don't see after he saves that cat, you don't see O.J. Simpson for the rest of the film until that very end where he gives the cat to Fred Astaire. So yeah, for that one, after that scene with the cat, O.J. Simpson just disappears for the rest of the film until that very end right there. So yeah, he comes. So O.J. Simpson gives the cat that was Jennifer Jones's and gives it to Fred Astaire, and Fred Astaire kind of smirks, smiles, and plus you feel bad for Fred Astaire because he really liked her, and you kind of felt bad because after that attempt where she helped save the kids, and after that she falls on the elevator, I was like, oh wow, that sucked. And you feel bad for Fred Astaire after that. That's why he kind of smiled when he got her cat. And then Susan Blakely, she gets upset because she sees that her husband is dead. That was Richard Chamberlain. And William Holden's like, I didn't want you to see him. Just hope to pray to God that that nothing like this will ever happen again. And then Steve McQueen, as he's about to leave, he sees all the body bags of the dead firemen that are dead. There's like about, well, he notices there's a bunch of dead bodies and body bags that are all firemen that died. And then Paul Newman's talking with Faye Dunaway. He's like, I think they should just leave it the way it is, like kind of a shrine to all the bullshit in the world. And then Steve McQueen is like, talker's like, we're lucky. The body count's less than 200. But one of these days they're gonna kill 10,000 one of these death traps, until someone knows how to build them. And I was like, after he says like, they're gonna kill 10,000 one of these death traps, and I'm gonna keep on eating smoke and bring out bodies until someone asks how to build them. And Paul Newman goes, okay, I'm asking. You know where to reach, Steve McQueen. You know where to reach me. So long, architect. And then he gets in his car and drives off. And then it shows when the film ends. It shows the credits, thanks to for the Department of San Francisco, the Fire Department of San Francisco, and all that. Yeah, but Tower Inferno, I love this movie. I really do. I would say it's an absolute classic and a masterpiece. I would say. It's definitely one of the greatest disaster pictures ever made. I highly agree with that. I love this film. The whole cast did a fantastic job, especially from Steve McQueen, Paul Newman, William Holden. Well, the rest of the cast: Faye Dunaway, Astaire, Susan Blakely, Richard Chamberlain, Jennifer Jones, which really was her last film. Robert Vaughn, Robert Wagner, and even O.J. Simpson. Even if I know everybody hates. I know everyone in the world hates the guy. So, well, because it's obvious though. But back then, in the '74, in the film. Back, when he was good in the films, and so I would even say, in this film he was good. O.J. Simpson was good in the movie though, but now the guy is basically he's a piece of shit basically, but because all the because with the whole murder they did, and he was not guilty because I don't want to get into the whole thing because everyone in the whole world knows about that story though. I'm not getting that now. Because everyone hates the guy now. So, yeah, I do. But back then in the '70s when he was good. So yeah, in this film he was good. But the whole cast did a great job. Steve McQueen. The highlights is definitely Steve McQueen, Paul Newman, and William Holden. The effects, fantastic. Special effects, well filmed, well shot, well edited. Great, awesome special effects, explosions, everything like practical. And it's also the film is over 2.5 hours. It's a very long movie, but I didn't find that boring or dull or not even slow. Although I do understand people may think it's slow though, but to me, it was fast enough for me. Because I watched this film over and over again, and it is over 2.5 hours, like an hour and 2 hours and 41 minutes, because I clocked it when the film ends. But yeah, and I think it's very fast paced, and to me it is, but people may think it's slow though, because of the running time. So yeah, I don't basically have this film I had no problems with though. Although, like I mentioned about that weird part at the end though, but that's not really a nitpick. I'm just pointing it out. But I love this movie. The Tower Inferno is definitely, I would say, is a classic. It's one of my favorites. I would even say, this film is practically even with the Poseidon Adventure. Because those two are my favorite disaster films. I would say those two are my favorite disaster films, though. But Poseidon Adventure just by just like a slight margin, though. But regardless, I love this movie. I love this film to death. And the great score by John Williams, won a few Oscars and 2 Golden Globes. The film made money back in the day, and it was like the highest grossing film of 1974. Irwin Allen, and I think it was also based on on a novel as well, like the two novels like called The Tower and also The Glass Inferno, which makes sense because it basically is like a glass building. So, and I think I do have the poster for the film as well. So yeah, I love this film, and I don't think I've never heard anybody who does not like the film though. But even somebody who does not like it, it's their opinion though. But I don't think there's hardly any people that do not like the film, hardly. But it's a classic, and I love this movie. I can't possibly praise this film enough. It's definitely one of my favorite of the, but yeah, definitely one of the greatest disaster pictures ever made. And definitely from the Irwin Allen's pictures as well. But yeah, I had the features I enjoy, the little booklet, the pictures that comes with it. It's a great film, and it's a film and it's also a film that I wanted to be doing for a while. And I finally got to. And I usually say it's my favorite film. Like I said, it's my favorite film. I would say with Steve McQueen and Paul Newman. Just A-list actors. Love Steve McQueen. Love Paul Newman, William Holden, and the rest of the cast. But yeah. So that's gonna be my review for The Towering Inferno. I don't know. Just recently, my reviews have been being so long recently. I don't know why. I've been doing such long reviews recently. I just don't know why. But yeah, and the film was rated PG as well. You know, back then there was like no PG-13 films back then, so like stuff like this film and Jaws were like rated P, and Poseidon Adventure were rated PG. Especially for a horror film, for Jaws as being rated PG. But yeah, but this came out way before the year before Jaws did. But yeah, that's my review for Tower Inferno. A definite 2 thumbs up, classic masterpiece. And this is a film I would definitely, I would say if anyone who has not seen this film, I would definitely recommend it. I highly recommend it. So, and I believe you won't be disappointed with how the way the film turns out. But yeah, or well, I'm not gonna say anything else, but that's my review of it. The Towering Inferno, once again, classic. And everyone who is a fan of Steve McQueen or Paul Newman would enjoy this film. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned on the next movie review. Later.